Good evening, dear listeners, and welcome to a chilling bonus episode of Strange Darkness Radio, your gateway to the unseen and the unknown. As shadows lengthen and night descends, welcome to a realm where reality blurs and the impossible becomes plausible. This is Strange Darkness Radio. What lurks in the spaces between what we know and what we fear? Tonight, we'll peel back the veil on secrets long buried. Prepare yourselves for a journey into the unknown, where ghostly whispers echo and creatures of legend may lurk just out of sight. Steel your nerves and open your mind as we venture into the strange darkness. The boundary between reality and nightmare awaits. Let's see who's tonight's guest host of the bonus episode. Or if Bobby will be guiding us through the darkness alone. You're listening to Strange Darkness Radio.
We get it almost every night. And when that moon gets big and bright, it's supernatural delight. Everybody was dancing in the moonlight.
Welcome back to another episode, or I should say another bonus episode of Strange Darkness Radio. What is going on? And tonight's host is Kyler. Kyler, what's going on?
Yeah, man, nothing much, man. You know, like I said, I was kicking it earlier. Then, I looked at the time. I was like, yeah, man, it's time to go get strange in the dark.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, yeah, man. I was like, yeah, let's go ahead and do it again.
Nice. So tonight's show, who do we have, Kyler, on tonight's show?
So it turns out to be the homie Ed.
Yes.
Ed DonGilli, the gelatinous one.
Mr. DonGilli is back again for part 2 of his extraordinary tale. And, Ed's always ready to go and to get right into it. He doesn't like to play around.
Although I'm not going to be like Kyler and get strange in the dark, man. That doesn't sound too good.
There's nothing wrong with a little bit of strange darkness in your life, man.
There you go. Yes, people get strange darkness in your life. And I love how Ed was jamming to the intro and everything. That is always going to be on the intro episode. That's a shout out to my main co-host, who was my best bonus co-host. So y'all have a lot to live up to, and that is Amy Tiedemann.
I thought you were going to say it was Kyler Jackson, but I understand.
That's a shout out to Amy.
Yeah, listen, it don't matter to me. I'm me, so.
So tonight is just going to be fun. That's how we do it on the bonus episodes. Anything goes and anything is possible. But we're going to get right into it. Here we go.
Ed DonGilli is back for part 2 of his bonus episode on Strange Darkness Radio. Last time, we explored his life on the Navajo reservation, but tonight, we're diving into his time in Botswana, Africa, where things took a truly supernatural turn. While living abroad, Ed and his family faced an intense encounter with a demonic force, so intense, in fact, that it led to a live exorcism inside a moving vehicle. Yes, you heard that right, spiritual warfare on wheels. But that's not all. Alongside his African adventures, Ed will share other bizarre and eye-opening events back in the States that have shaped his unique perspective on reality. From cultural immersion to battling unseen forces, Ed's journey is nothing short of fascinating. I'm your spectral guide, Benson, and it's time to talk to the most interesting man in the world, or at least that's what his wife says. Buckle up for another thrilling ride into the unknown. Let's begin.
Ed, welcome back.
Oh, thanks so much, man. Thank you.
Just for everybody who is not 21 yet, the bubbling sound at the end right there, it was club soda. That's all it was.
No, actually, it was Guinness. The man's drink. The myth.
It's my fave.
If you guys watch this on YouTube, I'm pretty sure you're going to see Mr. DonGilli doing what What are you going to be doing?
I'm going to be drinking Guinness.
There we go. And yes, you will see that.
It's a calming thing because it's low alcohol, but it's a beautiful drink.
Yes,
You know,
So
it's a beautiful drink.
You will always find Ed around the watering hole.
Not gonna lie to you though, the last beautiful drink I had was a margarita.
Damn, you going for the hard stuff, huh, Kyler?
Oh yeah. I can only drink the hard liquors. That's the only way to go.
Nice,
That's all I can do. That and wine. No, I will drink wine, but only those two things.
Nice. All right. Well, tonight's show, Kyler is going to lead Ed down the road to Africa, and let's see what insights Ed has. So, Kyler, take it away.
Oh yeah. Okay, so you said you want to start off giving me the wheel. Where the keys at? So I can go ahead and start this thing up.
You're driving this vehicle.
Oh yeah. We driving tonight. Yeah, man. So you said you want to start off over there in Africa then? Or you don't want to clear up anything else before we start over there? Or you want to go straight to it? Because we can go straight to it.
Actually, I do. I want to clear up something from my last episode on the Yebache ceremony. I need to clear up because at first I did use the term ceremony because that's what it is. But I think there was 2 occasions where I actually said Yebache Festival, and I don't want to give the wrong impression that it's some sort of carnival festival for everyone just to come and eat corn dogs, that sort of thing. It's a serious cultural ceremony. And so I just wanted to clarify that. Apologies for if I offended anyone, but that was not my intention. And I think anybody that knows me knows that wasn't my intention.
Yeah, for sure.
It was just one of those slip of the tongues. I used festival on a couple occasions. So my apologies. And I can't say it won't happen again, but
well, it's okay.
At least not purposefully.
It's okay because I got the keys now, so it's all right. I'm glad I asked you because boy, we're finna go pedal to the metal.
There we go.
We're finna go straight over
I appreciate that. I appreciate the opportunity to clarify that mistake on my part.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Well, I guess we will start with the Africa trip. We to set the stage of how we actually ended up there. We were members of a church in Pendleton, Oregon, and we used to have a pastor from Botswana come over a couple times a year to minister God's word and share what was going on over there in his parts. And we supported them throughout the year. And he also, the church over there in Botswana, also ran a ministry training center for Bible students, not just from America. In fact, I was the only one from America, but throughout Africa. And one of the times that he came over to minister at our church, he let me know about this and, asked if I would ever be interested in coming over. And I finally said, yeah, I would. And so I talked with the church elders and the congregation, prayed about it, and talked to my wife also. And our daughter was, I think, 5 years old at the time that we left to go over there. And so we packed our bags, headed over there. Funny story. I'm scared crapless of flying. I hate flying. It is not my favorite thing to do.
It's okay, they have pills for that.
I'm right there with you, man. I'm not a fan.
You know what helps with that? Hard liquor.
Well,
I don't drink.
At the time, I wasn't a drinker.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got on the
plane. I'd have one once in a while.
Yeah.
But this was before my wife was a nurse. I got picked up some Valium from my doctor before we left.
Valium will do it to you. It gets you there. I think I had to take one of those once, and that was pretty much it. I think I was good after that. I couldn't do anything anymore after I took it.
I got it.
Mm-hmm.
I got some from the doctor. Our flight was leaving out of Portland, Oregon to New York to JFK the night before. So we left it at night. And I didn't take the Valium. I was like, no. Because I'm not somebody who likes to take medication at all. And so I didn't take it.
I thought you were going to say you just didn't take it because you just going to tough it out. Just going to, just go through it the tough way.
And so it was a 5-hour flight. And I didn't take it. And the whole way, I'm just sitting there, apparently just frozen and turning white.
Wow.
And we landed. And I told my wife, I says, I can't do this. I can't, because at the time we'd stayed the night in New York because our flight for Johannesburg, South Africa left the following morning. And at the time it was the longest nonstop flight. It was 19 hours nonstop.
Ooh, that's rough.
Yeah, I had to take a couple things for that. Not 19 hours. 19 hours, I'm not doing that straight. I'm going to have to go out there for a very, very long time. If I'm on a plane for 19
I'm a nonstop.
hours.
If I have to fly,
yeah, I'd rather go
nonstop.
one shot.
Just get me there. But I told my wife, I said, I can't do this. I'm not going. And she said, you need to take your Valium.
Now, mind you, this is your thing. You wanted to go. You actually convinced her to go, and you're now saying, I'm not going.
She was very agreeable. You know, like I said, we prayed about it, and it felt like the right thing to do. Like it was. I mean, it was an opportunity that came forth from out of nowhere, and
yeah, I was about to say, because I haven't been to a church yet that offered me a ticket to Africa. That's one thing.
Well, we had, the congregation supported us for our whole trip over there during our stay there. God opened doors for us, even for a place to stay while we were over there.
Yeah, made it all possible and an easy process.
Very much so, except he didn't take away my fear of getting on those airplanes.
Hey, he's challenging you.
Yes. Oh, it was. And so my wife says, no, we're going. You need to take your Valium this time now. So I'm like, okay, I'll take my Valium. So I took the Valium, and before we got on the flight, again, this was before she was a nurse, she says, here, have a drink or two. You're not supposed to drink alcohol with Valium.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I did. The last thing I remember was taking off out of JFK.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this pilot must be in a hurry, because it was almost like we were just straight up.
Wow.
And shortly after that, I was gone, zonked. I didn't wake up for 17 hours.
Are you serious?
Well, yeah, when you mix alcohol and volume, that's kind of, 17 hours is lucky. Oh, yeah. That was actually, you got pretty lucky right there.
So you were basically singing Jeffrey Osborne in your dreams on the wings of love.
I was gone, man. Yeah, I was gone. I was out of, and later on, my wife had said, yeah, I thought about waking you up to make sure you're all right. But
exactly. She's like, I did the mirror test.
I figured it would be worse.
It was foggy.
So it was a 19-hour nonstop flight.
Yeah, that's a long
17 hours
flight,
of it, I was out cold, which was probably for the best. It was for the best.
Yeah.
So we landed in Johannesburg, South Africa, and then we still had another hour flight to take to Gaborone, Botswana, and it was on those prop planes, little propeller planes.
Oh, so she gave you a half of it.
But I was still like, man, I made it this far. So it was at that point where it's like, I don't care. I'm just getting on this thing and we're going. We got an hour flight. So that's how my story of the flight, of how I actually got there. Arriving in Botswana, we were met at the airport by a gentleman who became just a wonderful friend to me, Chris Mbiwi. He was one of these guys who was just always happy. And the moments that he wasn't happy, you could tell. But he was usually a very jovial person. But he was the one that picked us up at the airport, took us to the pastor's house that we had known. Pastor had laid out everything where we would be staying. There was a member of the church who actually owned a house in Tlaquain Village, and so we were staying there. I mean, it was before we left. We asked the pastor, what's it like? He says, "Oh, it's just like here." It was nothing.
I was going to ask if he was telling the truth or not. If the pastor lied to you.
There was nothing like here.
The one person you don't want lying to you told you that exact lie right there in your face.
Yeah, and so, I mean, there was a bit of culture shock, obviously. But once we got over that culture shock, I'd say after about 3-4 weeks, man, it was just a beautiful place.
Well, so real quick, see, how long did you say you guys were actually out there for? I know you said 3-4 weeks.
9 months.
Just now. Oh, okay.
We stayed for 9 months.
Oh yeah, 17. I could do a 19-hour flight for 9 months then. Yeah, I mean because for a minute I thought you went out there and then had to come back like a month later or something like that. I was like, I couldn't work.
On the way back, we stopped in Paris and had to lay over.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we did it an easier way.
Yeah.
On the way back, but getting over the culture shock and that, it was wonderful after that. Some of the things that when getting used to the different beliefs is in any culture is always because you kind of say like, well, why is it done this way? Why is it done? Why do you do this? Or what's this about?
Yeah.
And the same thing happened there. We used to, the house we lived in was right on the edge of the bush. Mm-hmm. And the bush is wilderness. There's, you had our house, which sat right on the bend of a dirt road. And the other side of that dirt road was bush. There was a reservoir back in.
And there wasn't a lot of homes by you as far as like neighbors, this like rural area?
No. There was a few houses around. One of our friends there from church, one of the elders actually lived just up the dirt road a little bit from us. But yeah, there wasn't, in fact, I had to walk 2 miles each way carrying a propane tank so that we could for our little heater, because the houses really don't come with heat. So I had to walk 2 miles lugging this thing, and I'd also go up there and get a little can of Pepsi just as a little reminder of home type thing. There's little comforts.
The substitute for Guinness, by the way, that's what it was. I had to substitute the Guinness real quick.
He got it imported.
No, they had homemade alcohol called Chibuku.
That sounds like a good time, by the way.
And it was delivered. Funny story. It was delivered in these milk carton. Like cardboard milk cartons. Mm-hmm. And across the street from us, we had basically an extended family that they lived in, basically it was a shanty town, just metal house, trailer type thing. Basically just think of the back of a tractor trailer type thing. I mean, it was a shanty town, and they lived across the street from us. And one morning, in fact, I think it was the first morning that we had woken up in the house that we were staying in, I saw a truck pull up, just one of those stake trucks, that are open-ended with just the wooden sides on the back, and was filled with what I had thought was just milk cartons. And one of the
good stuff
one of the older gentlemen from across the street came out, and he was just unloading like milk crates of these. So I go out and I just start help unload, trying to be a good neighbor and that. And I got to the church. They said that wasn't milk. That's homemade chabuku.
It's a good thing you didn't drink it going before church.
And no, it was not touch. I wasn't drinking that. No.
Well, you didn't actually, you didn't get to try any of it, or you just?
I could have, but no. No,
man.
Absolutely not, man.
But eventually you tried it, right?
No.
Oh, you never tried it. Okay.
I never tried the homemade stuff.
Oh, yeah, no, man. When in Rome, never man.
Tried the homemade.
You do as the Romans do.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not. I don't do alcohol.
No, I'm not doing that homemade chabuku stuff.
Well, as somebody who's had moonshine before, I for sure would have tried it. I would have had to try it at least once.
Well, you can still see, so I guess you
I have tried before. The moonshine I have tried here, but I'm in a strange land. I'm not trying, that. I don't know how it's made or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it just wasn't I wasn't interested in that. But living next, basically next to the bush, there was numerous nights. Like I said, there was a reservoir that you had to walk through the bush, maybe about a mile. And at night, like I said, not every night, but there was numerous nights, you would have like a group of 50, 75 people, like at 2, 3 in the morning, walking down the dirt road, I should say marching and chanting.
Yeah.
Down the dirt road. And it would, the first time I heard it, I was scared.
And you guys are staying by yourself in this location, right? You don't have anyone with you to say, oh, no, this is what this is, and this is why they're doing that.
No, we had nobody. It was just my wife, myself, and our 5-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
Wasn't there like a contact with the church?
Yeah, there was, but as far as in that house, it was just us. And it's not like anybody said, hey, you might hear a bunch of people walking down at 2 in the morning chanting. It wasn't like that.
Oh, yeah. So especially I would have been like, oh, they're coming to get the white guy. So,
It was just because, there's something about chanting that is very, people when they chant, they get into these zones, man.
And you don't know the reason for it. So there's, chanting because you're about to go to war, or, there's reasons for it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. And so I woke up because I heard it, and, I woke my wife up, and, we just kind of huddled, because we had no idea what it was.
Yeah.
And they went by the house, just kept going, and then started heading out towards the reservoir. And the next morning, when I went to the school at the church, I asked someone, I says, this is what happened last night. And they says, oh, well, these are the people that they worship the water god.
Oh.
And so they go out to the reservoir and hold ceremonies out there. And, it was a bit of a relief to know what it was. But,
to know they weren't going after you.
Yeah, they would kind of warned you, though, and gave you a heads up, like, hey, these are the possibilities in this area that you're at, Don't be startled.
I think it's like something you don't, I guess, really think about because, you don't know that it's going to happen, or when it will. So that was something that we would deal with, at night once in a while.
Did you ever get to find out more about this water god? Because I'm not going to lie. If I was there, I would have had to. I felt like I had to ask.
I didn't find out too much about it. They would just say that it was a water because, over there it can be very dry, obviously. So they'll go out, they'll pray to their water god, hold a ceremony, and pray that, the rains come. And I tried looking up names of gods for Setswana, which is the local tribe there. It's a Setswana. And there really wasn't much written about it. I just don't think people really know much about it. but that was enough for me. I mean, I knew what they were doing, so
yeah.
I didn't need to walk out with them and find out exactly.
Oh yeah, it's just one of those things. Like I always find it interesting. I mean, especially like I'm thinking in the modern time, like a right now time, where you would still hear about something like people who would go to a reservoir and pray, to a water god or to anything god, or anything else other than what we usually just regularly have when people just go to church and pray.
As Christians, if we go to a reservoir, it's to get baptized or to do baptisms.
Yeah.
Which is definitely something I didn't do either. I didn't go to, they didn't have us in no river. I was at a Baptist church.
Really?
I went to a couple different churches, but none of them was at rivers.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't think any of the people there were ready to do a river.
When I got baptized, it was in a river. Yeah. And so that was one of the things that we dealt with.
How about sounds and stuff that you hear in the distant and at night that you're not familiar with based upon this location and how rural it is?
Oh, baby, you hear the hyenas going at it. You hear and see insects that you didn't know existed.
Yeah.
I mean, the size of some of these. And my wife and I had an agreement because I hate reptiles, snakes, frogs, lizards, but she hates insects.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had an agreement that I would take care of any insects in and around the house, but she would have to take care of the reptiles that got into the house.
Yeah.
And the way their house is, where there's like there's not air conditioning. Their walls are cement, and then there's holes, like almost if you think of a vent, but no metal vent. It's just straight to the outside. So we used to get frogs that would come through there, and I'd wake up in the morning and there would be frogs in my shoes, and my wife would be the one that would handle that, get the frogs out. We'd walk outside, there would be spiders as big as raccoons, and I would try and handle that.
And that's why I wouldn't be there.
That's why I don't go to Australia.
You don't know if it's deadly or not. You don't have no clue.
Yeah. But the agreement worked for us.
A bugosaurus. You need a bugosaurus.
They said there was a lot of surprising things. The family that lived across the street from us, they weren't churchgoers. They were more traditional beliefs for the local tribal beliefs. And this is where one of those incidents that, the exorcism on wheels. We'll get into that now.
Oh yeah.
This family across the street, it was, grandma, grandpa. It was like about, my gosh, 8 younger children. I'd say, the oldest one maybe being like 12. There was aunties, uncles, just a whole extended family in this little shanty home area. The parents the children's parents had passed away from AIDS at the time. We were told. And one day, one of the aunties was ill, sick, with what, I don't know, but one of the children came over, and they didn't speak really English, but they could say like hospital or doctor, that type thing.
Yeah.
But luckily we also had a friend of ours with us at the time who did speak a little of the local language. He was from South Africa though. And anyhow, they this woman needed to go to the hospital, And we had a combi, which is a van. It's called a combi over there. To use, it was the church's one. So we happened to be using that for the day. And so we opened the gate, drove the combi out, and loaded her into the combi. She was in the middle seat. Mm-hmm. I was driving. Jennifer was, I think Jennifer was in the middle seat with her, and my friend was a fellow student was in the passenger. I mean, we just start driving, didn't get far, and she starts saying things in the local language.
Yeah.
At first, but she was able to speak a little bit of English. And my friend is sitting in the driver's side seat, and he's looking back there, and he says she's mocking God. And so,
now is he able to speak her language?
He speaks a little bit of her language. Yeah. He speaks, some of the language. I mean, it would be familiar. I mean, where he was from in South Africa to where we are in Botswana, it's not a huge distance. Mm-hmm. And, he had said, she's mocking God right now. And you could tell, and no matter what language you speak, you can pick up tones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I said, she did speak a little bit of English. At least she did on this day.
Oh, so that means you even picked up on a couple of
at least she did on this day. Yeah. And so we stopped, pulled over. My wife switched places with my friend, and I started driving again. Like I said, with a mocking of God.
So she was trying to calm the situation.
Yeah, and she moved up front. My friend moved in the back, and he started praying. Mm-hmm. I kept driving towards the hospital, got a little bit further, and we stopped because, she just kept going. And, that's hard to listen to, why are you mocking? We're here to help you. And
okay, when you say mocking, though, be a little bit more descriptive about what she was saying.
A lot of the content was, well, she would say, oh, you go to that church, mm-hmm. The church that, you worship God, you worship Jesus. Is Jesus protect you? Can Jesus help you?
Got it.
That along those lines. And she just kept going. And so finally I pulled over along the dirt road because we were still, basically, like I said, we weren't far from the house. And we got out, and
Well, on that note, really quick, let's go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, Don will tell us what he experienced, what he saw when that car stopped. We'll be right back.
Have you encountered the unexplainable? Strange Darkness Radio invites you to share your paranormal tales, ghostly whispers, UFO sightings, or cryptid encounters via SpeakPipe. No phone calls needed. Just click the link in our show notes, available on iHeartRadio, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Record your story and we'll feature it on air. Your voice could be the next chilling highlight. SpeakPipe works on any device, delivering messages straight to our inbox. Don't let your eerie experience fade. Share it now and join the conversation where the unknown meets the airwaves.
All right. So I think that we back, man. So let's go ahead and let's get ready to hear what's going on the side of this road, man.
Yeah, so we stopped. I stopped and pulled because my buddy who was in the middle seat with her now, he was getting a bit upset because she just kept going with the mocking. And so I pulled over. We slid the door open. Him, myself, and this this woman got out. She sat down on the ground in the dirt right there along the side of the road and was still continuing. And then she just lays down on her back. Mm. We continue to pray for her and lay hands on her, and on her stomach. And when we do, this lump is the best I can describe, starts pushing up in her belly.
Like, how big was it? She wasn't pregnant or anything like that, correct?
No. Oh, no.
Okay.
No. Oh, no. I'd say pushing up about the size of my fist.
You mean like,
but it wasn't
alien
pushing up? Yes. It wasn't just a pushing up and staying in one place. It was a pushing up, and the best I can describe it is if you think of the game Whack-A-Mole.
Yeah.
Where if you touch one thing, it goes down and goes, and that's what it was doing. It just kept moving around. And we're sitting there praying for her. And I think it was interesting because at the time you don't really think of, let's do an exorcist type thing.
Yeah.
We're just praying because that's what we know to do.
When this is happening, what is her state of mind? Is she screaming? Is she
still mocking?
Yes. At this point, she is screaming a bit. She's still doing a little bit of mocking, and we just continue to pray. And this thing is just like I said, it was clear as as day. I mean, you can just see it, and it just kept moving around, and we continued to pray. And after, I'd say a minute, it wasn't long.
Yeah.
I'd say maybe a minute and a half, she just gets quiet and everything just kind of stops.
What
we
about
load
the
her back in
the... I'm just like trying to imagine like whatever her expression on her face must have been like at that point. Was she just
be
like
honest, we weren't
really
looking at her face.
Yeah, you're mesmerized about what's happening and trying to understand it.
And we're just focused on praying, and we see this thing just keep moving around in her stomach. And like I said, the mocking, continued. The irritability, bit of anger on her part continued until it didn't.
Did you all feel any type of presence while this was occurring?
It's really strange. And this is the only time I've ever been involved in something like this. And so I don't know if it would be the same for everyone, but you're just so focused on praying, and you're so focused on just being in the moment, that it's almost like you don't have time or to feel anything other than just what you are focusing on. And I guess maybe in a way that is, you could sit there and say, well, the presence of the Lord was with us because there really wasn't any fear on our part.
Yeah, and it kept you guys just focused.
Yeah, we were just focused. Yeah, and so I guess you could say the presence of the Lord was with us, but that would be the only presence that we felt. Like I said, we saw what was happening, but it wasn't like we were sitting there in fear.
Yeah.
We just weren't. And, some of those, people say in moments of, high stress or whatever, you get this superhuman strength type thing.
Yeah.
And so I guess maybe you can liken it to that, but in the spiritual sense, where a moment like that, you're just so focused on God and praying that you don't really take notice of what's going on around you. It's almost like you have this tunnel vision.
Yeah.
That's going on with it. And that's how it was. And after about a minute and a half, somewhere in, I couldn't tell you the exact time, she just got calm. The thing in her stomach went back down. We could no longer see it. we picked her up, put her back in the van, and it's like she was back to normal. We took her to the hospital.
Did she recall any of that?
No. Oh, no. If she did, she didn't mention it to us.
And she was calm for the ride on from there?
The remainder of the ride to the hospital, she got out, we took her into the hospital, and she was perfectly normal. Even when we saw her when she came back, like the next day, nothing. She was just normal.
And she never said anything about that event or what led up to it? Or
No, nothing at all. Nothing at all. And, we have interactions with them. The children we had the most interaction from because they didn't, they never met anyone like us.
Yeah.
And so they saw that from the time we moved in, they were very curious.
Oh yeah, because
if
they gone into probably the cities and everything else, they may seen certain European people.
Yeah, I don't think they left their little area there.
Yeah.
And they would, from the time we moved in, they would come in. Our house had a gate in the front, and they would stand at the front gate and just call out my wife's name. Just keep calling until she came out.
Yeah.
And we'd play soccer with them in the street. They came in, they would color with our daughter, because we had brought coloring books and crayons with us.
Yeah.
They'd come in and sit with our daughter and color, and they loved doing that. They'd come in, we'd make popcorn for them, and I don't think they ever had popcorn before. They were so amazed by it.
Oh, wow.
And they definitely didn't ever see a camera.
Yeah.
We had a camera, and we took pictures of them and would show them the pictures. Oh, they just were that's amazed.
That's interesting you say that, because I know back in the day, more or less around the, early 1900s, when you snapped a photo of someone like that, they would think you're capturing their soul. Yeah. And so you got to be extremely careful, because they would kill people for doing that, because they believe that they actually took their soul from them.
But these children, they didn't even.
Oh yeah.
They didn't even think along those lines.
Yeah, exactly. These are adults that usually.
And
with them, they're just more curious.
So, yeah.
It was very curious. Not everything there was supernatural. Some things obviously are just natural and beautiful. And, a lot of it was that. This episode with the woman in the combi and on the side of the road, it was, like I said, it's the only time I've ever experienced anything of the sort.
Now, I know our listeners are going to be like, well, what if she had a parasite, or what if it was something to where that she ate something, or possibly foreign parasite, and it was moving around and all that, but there's no way that could have been that type of situation.
No, I would assume that if it was a parasite, which I never heard of anything of the such, but there may be.
Yeah.
But if there was a parasite like that, I don't think she'd be home the next, the next 12 hours later, just walking around and not mentioning anything.
Yeah.
So no, it wasn't a parasite.
Do you know what her religious practices were?
They really didn't, practice religion that I saw openly. Like I said, my assumption is that they adhered more to the local tribal traditions, which a lot of the locals there just did the local tribal beliefs in that. Although there was a big in a sense, way more people, Christian communities there. It was one of the amazing things when we first got there. I went to the church for the first time on a Sunday. We're standing in one of the church offices and we're staring out the window, and it's thousands of people walking from every direction coming to church. It was amazing.
Wow.
I guess you could consider that supernatural, because they walk for miles.
Yeah.
To get to church. And it was an amazing thing to see. It was a beautiful thing to see. It wasn't all, like I said, it took us a while to get used to the culture shock. And, one of the things that happened, it wasn't like there was times it just wasn't easy for us to be there. There was things going on back home, that were concerning for us. And we're like, do we even need to be here? And I remember sitting in class one morning, just wondering, like, do we just need to go home? Do we just need to go home? And I remember sitting there, the professor, one of the pastors was teaching a lesson, and I'm sitting in class, and I just ask God, I just start praying, do we need to go home, God? What do you want us to do? And an amazing thing happened to this day. It still amazes me. Well, I said, I need a sign, because I pulled the whole Gideon thing. Gideon needed a sign to make sure it was God's will. And I just needed a sign, because we're so far from home, and
and you want to make sure you're on the right path.
And make sure we're on the right path. That the people that we left behind, that they're doing okay, and they're all right with us being over here still. And I was like, I need a sign to know that I'm doing what you want me to do, God. And I can't really explain it, but it's at the same time, simultaneously, it came into my mind, a pile of bricks will be in front of my gate if we're to stay here. I don't know I don't know why I thought pile of bricks. It was so odd.
Yeah.
And I just kind of assumed that, all right, well, there's no way a pile of bricks is going to be in front of
we're going home.
Because,
I just kind of wonder what that might lead to.
Requires bricks.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's dirt road. There's not brick houses. There's just nothing.
I mean, do you, when thinking on that, do you know what that could have meant at all? Like what that would have symbolized?
Well, I believe it. I believe it was God telling me, giving me the sign and asked. It just came pretty quickly. And after class that day, drove home. One of the other students used one of the church vehicles and drove me home. Do you know what was sitting in front of my driveway?
A pile of
when
bricks.
I got home? A pallet. A whole freaking pallet of bricks. Just sitting in front of my gate, of my driveway. And there's no construction going on. There's nothing. There is no need for bricks. I still don't know what happened to the bricks. But they were there that day when I got home, sitting in front of the driveway. And it's just a strange occurrence, because not only why would there be bricks there, but why am I sitting in class even thinking about a pile of bricks?
Yeah, exactly. The symbolism of a brick or bricks is to build a wall, to build a foundation, a structure, meaning home, to strengthen, a area or a home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, to be able to withstand, because again, you don't build, like the Bible says, you don't build on sand. Storms will come and it'll blow over. But bricks. So yeah, that was something that, again, I can't.
Of why that thought came to you, but
it just came. It just popped into my mind. Like God answered me before I could even ask the question.
Yeah.
it was one of those episodes.
I just go into the whole foundation thing when it comes to bricks and the foundation, and everything starts with a solid foundation.
Thanks for tuning in to this special bonus episode of Strange Darkness Radio, hosted by Bobby Washington and special co-host Kyla Jackson, featuring the captivating stories of Ed DonGilli. We'll be right back after this break. Stay tuned for more thrilling tales of the paranormal and supernatural as we delve into the unknown with our hosts. Don't miss out on the eerie adventures and unexplained phenomena that await you on Strange Darkness Radio.
You know, there was just so many experiences, even just everyday experiences that, you know, we would get to do, like my friend Chris and Bewee, who picked us up from the airport. He would always take me for street corn.
Mm-hmm.
They just call it maize. But it was just people on the street grilling corn on the cob.
Yeah.
But it was the best tasting corn ever. But he'd see me having a bad day, and he'd just say, Eddie, brother Eddie, come, get in the car. And he'd take me for, it was amazing. You know, he was a musician as well.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And yeah. So he took me, we went to South Africa to pick up his CDs that he had recorded, and the pressing was done. So we got to go down there. He took me down there, and Johannesburg was not the safest city.
Yeah.
But, you know, experiences like that were, you know, weren't necessarily supernatural, but again, who's to say? Because, you know, being able to meet people like that, have relationships with people like that, it's a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah, that's incredible.
And yeah, and you don't get that, you know, all the time. You know,
Yeah,
you're lucky if you
get
to have it one or two times. You know, so, but yeah, those are our. Probably when we're done here, I'll be thinking more of our trip to Africa, and I'll say, man, I forgot about that.
Well, you know, that's the best part about, you know, me being a driver and us being on that road. You know, if I have to make like that quick U-turn in the middle of the freeway, I guess everybody gets to watch out.
Because speaking of which, one of our trips that Chris took me to South Africa on, we went down to pick something up, and again, the borders, at least at that time, weren't open 24 hours. So we were coming back into Botswana from South Africa, and we had just missed the border opening. You know, it had just closed like 5 minutes earlier. Chris gets out the car. He's going and he speaks to the guard. You know, hey, can you just let us through? I mean, there's no place to stay here for the night. Just let us through. And the guard said, no. Like I said, Chris was usually always a jovial person.
Mm-hmm.
In this instance, he comes walking back to the car, and I could see on his face. And he goes to me, and he goes, Eddie, buckle up. He gets in the car.
That's not a good sign.
Right through the border.
Are you serious?
Right through. Yes.
Did they have weapons?
Through. No, but Botswana, the security guard did. Not that I saw.
Yeah. Or walkie-talkies. Hey, there's going to be two guys, you know, a mile down the road. Stop them.
So now you're in jail. That's a brave man, by the way. Just so you know, that's.
But you could tell when he was walking back to the car that, well, this wasn't good news, man. This is not good news. And he says, Eddie, buckle up. So yeah, it's just some great experiences, man. Awesome. Just great experience.
You guys made it through.
Yeah, we got back safely. The flight home I was so tired and exhausted, and just sad that I just got on the plane, and I think I slept pretty much the whole way from Johannesburg to Paris. Just slept. I was so tired and just so bummed out. You know, so yeah. But those are our trip to Africa for that time. Like I said, I'll probably remember a bunch of stuff as I dwell upon it, and but it's all good thoughts, man. It's all good thoughts, good memories, man.
So, Ed, go ahead and get into your time back in the States. You told me a story and of situations that you were not sure of something that you, or I should say someone or some people you've encountered when you came back to the States. And I'm not sure what the time periods of you being back in.
Yeah, if what you're talking about, this stuff would be when we arrived in Sacramento.
Got it.
Shortly after. So this is recent. This is recent stuff over the past couple years.
I didn't know it was that recent.
Yeah, it's recent stuff, and I've come to, and I'm not the only one that believes this, that I think when you are in depression, trauma, I think you become more vulnerable and open to spiritual things, both good and, godly spiritual things and evil spiritual things.
Yeah. More things we'll try to prey on you on those, at those lows.
Yeah. And you have to be, really careful, when you're in those moments. I think it's 1 John chapter 4. It says, we're to test the spirits to see if they actually come from God or if they come from Satan. And when we're in those moments of depression, trauma, anxiety, I think it opens up. It can open up doorways, shall we say, where spirits can come and either deceive us, comfort us. But we do have to test the spirits. But yeah, surprisingly, I've been to numerous places and have lived in numerous cities and countries. And I didn't expect things to happen in Sacramento. Again, I don't go looking for these things. I just don't go looking for them.
Yeah.
But I am, obviously not obviously, I don't want to say obviously, but I always try to become a better follower of Christ. So I'm constantly, trying to understand God, trying to understand my relationship with Him.
Yeah.
Trying to understand, why He would send His Son, Jesus Christ, to die for my sins, So I think maybe in a way I am open to these things. I'm not somebody as a Christian, like you'll get some Christians who just will deny demons. They'll deny, episodes of supernatural things that happen.
They're closed off.
That just don't. Yeah, and I'm not. That's not maybe because the Bible clearly talks about demons. The Bible clearly tells us to, that Satan disguises himself as an angel of light, which is why we are to test the spirits. The Bible clearly tells us to put on the full armor of God so that we're able to stand.
Be vigilant.
Yeah, and so this stuff is real. And like I said, I don't go looking for it because I also believe, as a follower of Christ, I'm not supposed to go looking for it. This would have been a couple years ago. Like I said, we've only been in Sacramento for going on 5 years, almost 5 years. And I'm a open type person. I kind of believe in making myself vulnerable, and I kind of expect that from other people as well, because I think if we remain just touch on superficial things, then our relationship isn't going anywhere. So
yeah,
because again, I'll get bored, and so I'm kind of a vulnerable person, so I'll share things, and during this time when these episodes started happening, I was in a pretty deep depression. There was things going on. I felt like my life was out of control.
Mm-hmm.
I was really trying to seek God and, asking, some questions, why. And I believe that when we are in those types of emotional states, we are open to both good and bad when it comes to spirit, because there is spiritual world. Make no mistake about it.
Definitely.
And so in a space of 2 days, and I was in this state of just painful depression. I was driving home, and our house wasn't in it was just a residential area. There wasn't any commercial. It wasn't a commercial area type thing. It was just residential. And I was driving home, and our house sat on a corner. And as I was coming up to our house, I saw this woman standing right there on the corner, right next to our house. And she was dressed in like goth garb, like this goth woman. And it wasn't some cheap costume. You could tell by the clothing.
Yeah.
The boots. This was, her hair, was this dark reddish color with black streaks in it. The whole, just think of a goth woman in, the jacket, everything. And it was so out of place. I mean, so out of place, because like I said, there's no commercial clubs, anything like that around.
Yeah.
It's just a residential place. So she's standing on the corner. I just turn, and as soon as you turn on our road, it's right into our driveway. Space of 2 to 3 seconds. I turn into the driveway because I'm asking myself, what is she doing here?
Yeah.
What is she doing? It's so out of place. And I turn into the driveway, and I no longer turn in the driveway. I look, and she's gone.
Wow. So
and
just
no
that
car
quick.
picked her up that quick.
Yeah.
That quick, Bobby. That quick. I jumped out of the car, looked both ways of the street, because again, it's just a straightaway. And there's no other streets. And again, you're talking 2 to 3 seconds. Nowhere to be found. Absolutely nowhere.
And this is more than you just seeing a beautiful woman standing on the street.
Oh, yeah.
And you're just looking like, oh, who's that? No, it's something drew you to this person.
Yes, because the first thing I said to myself is, I was driving up and saw her. I was like, what is she doing here? This is so abnormal. There's no reason for her to be here, looking like she looked. And, in the, garb and everything, there's no reason for her to be here. And in that 2 to 3 seconds that it took for me just to make that turn into the driveway, hop out of my car, gone. Wow. I looked both ways up the road, gone. No car pulled up, to pick her up. She was just gone. And she looked at me as I drove by her to make that turn into the drive. She looked at me. So it was that sense like, okay, you're not just here for, because you're lost in a neighborhood or anything.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's just a residential neighborhood. And if she lived around, I would know if she lived around,
No, I totally.
I think she looked that vivid of a look that she had. You definitely would have picked up on that. If that's the case. So I got to wonder. So you guys like made eye contact and everything, like as you make this turn.
Yeah, there was eye contact, and you just you get the sense like, I just knew. What are you doing here?
And this particular,
you look so out of place.
Yeah, and this particular person, from her look aesthetically, this is something that is, if you, I want to say, created a woman. This is your like.
Yes. Yes.
the woman of your dreams type deal. That go ahead.
Listen, I get excited when my wife wears her Doc Martens.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we don't want to get you beat up.
No, exactly. And this is a scenario that played out.
My
that
wife
actually
my
happened.
wife knows because I told her as soon as she got home, this is what I saw. This was a very beautiful woman, and just like I said, I think you.
And you felt you knew this person. You felt like there was some type of
in a sense, but you can't place it or
can't put your finger on it. It's like you have a sense of like
familiarity. So she felt familiar when you saw her, or when you saw each other.
Yeah. In a way, but you can't place it. It's like your mind is scrambled. Like you just don't. Okay, this person feels familiar, but I have no idea where I would have seen her, where I would have, experienced her in any form or way.
Yeah.
And it was just so out of place.
I have to ask though, so you wouldn't think that maybe you didn't have any dream or anything before this of this? Okay.
No, I think I was coming back from a haircut, maybe. I can't remember what I was coming back from, but I was just local, and I was by myself in the car. And like I say, it was during the daytime,
Yeah, but there was a little bit more to it. Like in the sense, when you're in that type of depression, whether it's demonic, whether it's just things that we're not aware of that feeds off of that type of energy, like it created something that would entice you, or knew it would get your attention to make you focus and say,
Yeah. And I think as Christians, well, as any, writing the Lord's Prayer, lead us not into temptation type stuff,
Yeah.
We always have to be aware, like I say, which is why we test the spirits.
Yeah.
Are you from God? Do you believe that Jesus Christ came in the flesh? God incarnate. So we have to test those spirits. Now, obviously, I didn't get a chance to test this spirit because it was just such a quick episode.
Yeah.
But, you ask yourself, like, what possibly could this have anything to do with me right now?
Yeah.
And,
or it could have been an angel coming to, you just need to feel that.
Well, if it was an angel, she didn't stick around long. And, but it wasn't a, like some swooning connection, you know. It wasn't like this, erotic connection, anything like that. It was just this, I don't even want to say a familiarity, to maybe just a familiarity, but on a very...
It was something that
simple level.
Was inevitably stuck in your cerebellum to where you still can recall it to this second.
Yeah.
And imagine how many fleeting moments you've had and you will have with people, areas, circumstances, situations. I don't care if it's someone in a car accident, robbing a bank, whatever, they fly past you and the cop says, "Hey, what did the person look like?" You're like, let me think. And then you think you say X, Y, oh, he had a hoodie on and, had Doc Martens on and he ran past me. Then they come back and he had flip flops and shorts and a t-shirt on. You're like, oh, damn, I got that wrong. Because they say your memory is the worst when people give descriptions of situations and circumstances that they're usually wrong. That's why they don't go off. It's really rare that they go fully off of a description, because you have 10 people who saw the same thing. They give you 10 different scenarios.
Well, it's interesting because we witnessed a car accident right here in Sacramento. And we stuck around along with some other people to give a description to the police officers in the car and who we saw driving. Everybody's description was
had different scenarios of what happened.
And you're like questioning yourself. You're like, man, was it Gray?
In a world
Did
with
they
cameras
look
and
like
nobody pulled one out, like nobody
Yeah,
had a
it's like-
camera phone to pull out and like take a video of him running or anything.
Yeah, all of our descriptions were different.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Like, I
So
said,
this,
do you need me anymore?
Yeah, I gotta wonder, because this vision though is like, because something had to set. I mean, there had to be something else sets this vision apart. Like because to remember in such detail a vision like that, like the image of this person, like it's just, I don't know, like that would have to be that's a little bit different, I guess, than the fleeting feeling, or the fleeting image you would have of somebody running by. This person, like to leave such an impression in a matter of like what, a couple seconds,
seconds. It was seconds, and
had to be something close.
Also, but here's the thing: was that person ever truly there? Was this something that you made happen and materialize?
No. Well, I don't have the answer to that. I just know this person was there. It wasn't some sort of fading, outline of someone.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, when you have eye contact and, you're staring at each other.
Yeah.
And you just feel that presence sort of there, not knowing exactly what it is or who it is or where this person came from.
Yeah.
And again, going through the time that I was going through, the very next day, we lived next to a dog park. And so I'd take our dogs over there to, to run around. But if the dog parks were full, I'd take them onto the tennis court because it was fenced in.
Mm-hmm.
It was only 1 block away from our house. The next day, I take them over again during the daytime, just in the early afternoon. And since the dog park was, had other dogs in, I just took them into the tennis courts, shut the gate, and we're just walking around the tennis court, on the outskirts of inside the tennis court, but along, the fence line inside. And we get to the corner, one of the corners, and I look, and there's this woman standing there, staring at me, smiling.
Yeah, completely different woman, though, right? There's the same one.
Completely different woman, dressed differently. Well, I mean, I assume she's a different woman, but maybe the same woman, but from a different
point in time.
If you want to parallel universe, whatever. That I have no way of knowing. She was dressed differently, and she had, I'll call it a dog, but I don't know. It looked just like a wolf, and this thing was huge.
Wow.
I mean, huge. And I know dogs. No, it wasn't a Great Dane.
Yeah.
It wasn't some Norwegian wolfhound. This thing looked like a wolf, maybe mixed with a bit of shepherd, but overall it looked like a wolf. And this thing came up past her waist.
How tall do you think she was?
She had to be, she wasn't a short person. She looked like she was about 5'8".
Okay.
5'8", 5'9", somewhere in there. So she wasn't a short person, but she's just standing there smiling at me. She had glasses on, white t-shirt, black shorts, and she's just holding this dog, and the dog's staring at me. And I have my dogs with me.
Yeah.
And again, within a span of 1 to 2 seconds, because I look down because one of my dogs is kind of, growling, and I just look down to him and say, "Stop, it's okay."
Yeah.
I look up, her and the dog, or wolf, is gone.
Wow.
From the locked-in enclosure.
Yes. Well, she was standing right outside.
She was outside the enclosure. Yeah. Oh, okay.
She was right outside. She was maybe, it couldn't have been more than 20 feet from me. But the thing is, it's a wide open field outside this tennis court.
Yeah. So
and you're talking 1 to 2 seconds. I look. She's not there. She's not in the other direction. Again, just gone. In 1 to 2 seconds.
I wonder, are these your spirit guides that are manifesting, and you need them to at that time for what you were going through? Like, you know, just like everything's going to be okay type deal, you know. I don't know. That's interesting.
Well, you know,
I mean, what would be the vibe that you got from this woman and this dog, or wolf, or beast?
Again, just a sense of, it's hard to say familiarity, because if it was familiarity, I would know exactly who she was.
Yeah, but it's interesting on what you told your dog, as far as like, you know, it's okay. She's okay. The dog is okay.
Yeah,
like
I didn't get any sense of danger or, you know, again, I came home, I told my wife what I had just seen.
And this is the second day.
This is the second day.
Somebody's watching over you.
This was 2 days. This was 2 days in a row. And, you know, again, it's not an imagination type, because like the fact that this one was just standing there, holding her dog or wolf, and just smiling, and again disappeared in a span of 1 to 2 seconds, just long enough for me to look down and tell my dog it's okay.
Yeah, because here's the thing: the first one you saw was Ed's perfect woman. And again, I'm just saying from a standpoint of the mind, I don't want to make anybody mad. I'm just saying from a visual,
she was just completely quiet.
From a visual standpoint, to make you look, to get your attention, to have that eye contact. The second one you met had a dog, because you have your dogs, to get that eye contact, to get, you know, like, wait a minute. Okay, not just any dog. Like a wolf the size of a Great Dane.
Bigger than a Great Dane.
Bigger than a Great Dane.
Bigger.
Do you like wolves? Or, I mean, are wolves?
Yeah, I actually had Cody was my ours, because they looked like wolves.
Oh yeah. We were in the same boat. Yeah, I love them. Dogs.
And I'd love to have a wolf, but you know, I think it's illegal.
Yeah, you and me both, man.
You can't have a husky. You just want to go straight to the real thing.
We'll get both. That's what I do.
But no. It seems that this spirit or this entity or this thing or angel is coming in things that get your attention, that you like, that would, you know, whomever else saw this particular goth chick would be like, okay, is there a Halloween party happening here? But you see it totally different, and it's going to get your attention, opposed to you just, you know, being nonchalant about that. You know, if it was some chick, you know, who was there dressed like she was going to the Emmys, you probably wouldn't have paid her no mind. You know, and so this person was wearing something that would get your attention. The other person was, you know, had a dog that would get your attention. And so I do find that interesting. And, you know, and again, you didn't pick up anything evil or anything nefarious about it. You know,
did you pick up anything good from it either? Like, was there just like a neutral feeling?
You know, picking up anything good, I mean, in my mind, you know, it could be good, like, you know, like happiness and, you know, it's almost like, you know, in a sense, because, you know, my mind, you know, went to like parallel universe, like, you know, is there a way that people can cross that that dimension from one universe into another, and who am I in this, in these other parallel universes if they exist?
Yeah, and were these your wives or people that you had relationships with and that were bleeding into this reality? And it's something that you needed to see at that time that helped you. And again, to me, it goes back to the bricks, all about setting that foundation and actually making you stay, making you calm down, getting you out of that depression, because what's going to happen? Ed's going to think about what he's seeing. He's going to contemplate it. This is your thing that instead of moving, that you needed to wait, what was that? To make you inquisitive, to really have you dive deep in yourself, to ask the question of what am I seeing? Like, why am I seeing this? Who's this person? What's going on? And you probably needed that at that time.
And that's because you see something like that, and I would hope that anybody would ask questions that, you would show an interest.
No, a lot of people don't. A lot of people brush it off. That's the thing.
We talk about that people don't look up. They don't look up. They're just consumed with, what's going on in the here and now and that sort of thing. But, I think, I ask them because I'm always asking questions, probably more questions than, my wife likes me to ask type thing.
But isn't there like that belief or theory about like souls or soul clusters, where like basically it's like a thing of let's say even like in this life, the past life, or future lives, where like a lot of the people you've already come across, like a lot of people you have in your life and everything, you've come across them before. You guys move around in like the same cluster, just different positions.
Yep.
Yeah. There's I think there's that theory that goes around. I can't remember what it's called though, Bobby. But it's something along those lines. For me, the first thought that did come to mind was, okay, parallel universe. But then of course I go, well, God, what is this? Why is, what am I supposed to do with this, if anything? Because again, I try to always, test the spirits, that sort of thing, but I didn't get a sense of, danger or, but I also didn't get a sense of like, well, these are angels. I don't know who they were, where they came from. That's, I guess, where we can, discuss and throw out different theories of exactly, who and why, what, where from, that sort of thing. But obviously I think the parallel universe thing came into effect. I don't know why, came into my mind. I think because of how quickly my attention was drawn to them and how they focused on me, but how quickly they just disappeared.
Yeah.
After I had seen these two individuals, and all within the span of, like I said, a couple seconds.
Probably
it's not like they could just disappear.
Yeah, your parallel self, you probably ended up crossing with it at those moments.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's, like I said, it's something that I probably will never know for sure. But I said there was no place for them to walk off to without me noticing, because it was that quick and that open. But in the span of just a couple days, that seeing these two individuals, not knowing, you bring up guardian angels, I don't know. I don't know if I, believe in guardian angels per se.
I do, and I
believe in the Holy Spirit.
You've had them rolling with you for a while. That was the auntie. That was certain situations that, as you're getting out of these situations, you have to understand that the faith that you have, there are things and entities, whether they're angels, whether, it's God's hand, however it's happening, when he has things to do. So he's going to send his workers to get you out of a jam and a situation. And I think that's what's happening. I think in the times that you are under duress and really contemplating whether it's just movement, whether it's just being stuck in a rut, whether it's, challenging different beliefs and different paradigms, that things are put in your purview to challenge you and to keep you, grounded. It's all about, to me, that foundation, because even for how we met and that you're on the show, I think these are all parts of things that are meant, for you. Me personally, just what I think.
Yeah, and I know that in the Jewish folklore, Jewish mythology, there's a lot about angels, different types of angels, even guardian angels that they talk about. I don't know if we find anything actually in the Bible about guardian angels. There are some scriptures that maybe reference them.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously there's definitely angels.
Yes.
But, in the Jewish folklore mythologies, they believe, angels are assigned to us. Some people, if you are, a good person, you get assigned a good guardian angel. If you are a bad person, you get assigned a bad guardian angel, basically according to your works.
Yeah.
It's what you get assigned. And then they also believe that some people do have both. What was the cartoons back in?
You mean the ones on your shoulders?
The devil and the angel.
Yes, so you have basically a bad angel and a good angel. Who are you going to listen to? For me, I'm a big believer in the Holy Spirit, obviously.
Yeah.
So, but demons are, principalities, powers of darkness, they're assigned to different areas,
mm-hmm.
Different countries, that sort of thing. And obviously there are angels in the Bible. I just don't know if there's such a thing as guardian angels. But that also doesn't mean that God doesn't send because he does send ministering angels to people to minister. I guess maybe it's the term that I may be more uncomfortable or hooked up on.
Yeah.
Well,
the actual term.
It's because it could also be a thing of, like you're saying, guardian angels and or just guardian beings in general that kind of sit on that plane of, like whatever the separate plane is that we would think of, that there are a number of beings there who are just kind of like guardian beings or just like guideline beings.
Yeah, and parallel universes fascinate me.
Oh, for sure.
They fascinate me because then it becomes, who am I in this, in this universe? Who am I in that universe?
Yeah.
In this one, and it's that whole saying, well, it's not always greener on the other side. So you might get to that other universe and you're like, man, I thought it was going to be pretty cool.
Exactly.
That's actually why I asked you about the dream situation. I'd actually ask if you had any dreams because of that. Like I've had like very, very vivid dreams that were a bit different.
Not concerning that event. There are other events that were happening around this time that I'm sure we'll get into, but on the next episode. But there were other, dreams and visions and entities type thing that was going on at the same time. And like I said, it's like I didn't expect this in Sacramento, which then also I think lends to my belief that being in certain emotional states,
for sure,
it opens up spiritual doorways where we can either be attacked or we can be comforted. Where we look to God or we look to demonic things, like Ouija boards to find answers.
Damn.
And I'm not.
That's on the main show, and Carolyn Gray was good at the Ouija board segments. It was interesting.
Yeah,
but
they'll be the only ones
with
on
that
it too.
Stuff. I don't mess with that, man.
Yeah, that will not be in a bonus thing at all. At least not any bonus that I'm going to be on. Yeah. There will be no Ouijas, no board.
Kyle's going to be at a site
by himself or something.
Exactly. He's going to be at a site messing around with a Ouija board talking about film me.
Oh, yeah, no. I'm not going to even touch that Ouija board.
That's
Somebody
funny.
put that thing there. I'm going to feed it to them.
No, I'm good.
We don't do Ouija boards. That's one thing, boy. There are many things I may one day try. A Ouija board. Something about something talking to me, and I can't see it.
Well,
I can't put my hands on it.
Yeah, but that's you beckoning it and calling for it is different than just being in a place where you have an evil spirit or demonic spirit. But when you start messing with Ouija boards, you're actually asking for things to happen or things to come. So
you know me. Yeah. You know me. I don't need to ask. You come to me.
He's a brother, so he's a part of the side to where we ain't even messing around with it. So but with all that being said, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, man.
No,
it reminded me because on the last episode when we were
the Bigfoot
listening to the Joe Rogan, and he said how our senses are heightened in certain situations. This is basically the same thing.
Oh, for sure.
So yeah, but yeah, that'll be the next bonus episode. Is I'll share some because there was a lot going on with me during this period of time.
Okay, well, the next bonus episode will be different. It won't be Ed's third chapter because basically Ed is going to be coming on as host on the bonus episodes along with Kyler and Marley. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Marley is still out there. She's still coming on. She is still around.
Benson will pull her back from the ether.
Yes. So she will be back on probably the next episode Marley will be on. And but with that being said, again, Ed is going to be the new bonus co-host on Strange Darkness Radio along with Kyler. Ed, how do you feel about that?
I'm excited about it. I got a lot to talk about.
Yes, so we will be hearing his stories throughout the time.
But I also like talking about other people's stuff and
for sure.
Like I said, getting into different theories and coming from where I come from, my foundation and belief that the whole testing of spirits and it's either from God or it's not, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, you'll definitely have a couple things. I mean, I haven't even told. There's a couple stories I haven't told on here yet. And you're going to, I think you, especially Ed he'll probably get a kick out of one of them. Like that's one that, I don't even think I told it on Spaces when we were on there.
Yeah.
I might have, but I don't think I did.
And people, please check us out on Spaces. On X, which is Twitter. We will probably be doing a up and coming episode on Spaces, and it's more just a general conversation. You guys can join in. Feel free to call, to add on Spaces. Then we'll add you in just to be able to tell your stories and conversate, ask us questions, and so on and so forth. Eventually, we will get Ed to pop on Spaces also. I think it's a pretty cool outlet as a group to conversate. And for those upcoming things, follow us on Twitter or X. Definitely follow us on Instagram because I will post when we're actually going to be doing our next Spaces. So definitely check us out. And again, Kyler, any last words before we close it out? This is a long episode. This is probably the longest bonus episode.
That's good because it's a bonus. So, I don't think not too much else to say. I mean, just don't, I got one thing, just don't be too scared to do strange things in the dark.
Other than messing around with the Ouija board. Leave that to Carolyn Gray.
Leave that to the people who actually want to be, messed with. Those you don't do that one. That's where you cross the line. But anything else, almost.
We'll see. We'll see if I can get him out ghost hunting, because we do have some things that we're setting up. I'll try to get Ed out. I won't tell him we're actually doing ghost hunting.
Baby.
I will tell him we're actually there to drink Guinness at these particular locations.
You can do that, and I'll sit at that table, drink Guinness, my man, and you can
as
go
he's
do
sitting there
your,
with an apparition right next to him. But yes.
Man.
So we will definitely be doing
this
some
man,
of those
he wants
adventures.
to trick us into a ghost hunt.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Exactly.
But brothers.
Ed, any last words?
It was enjoyable being able to basically go down memory lane and kind of explore some of these newer experiences that I've had.
Yeah.
And I look forward to really discussing them more with y'all here, and hopefully people who contact us of this world, not contacting us from another world. And
they've been contacting you, but you've not been wanting to pick up the phone.
He wanted to pick up one of them phones. He said that one of those phones he definitely wanted to pick up.
No, I don't answer phones like that, baby. No. Like I said, I try to avoid. I don't go looking
otherworldly beings.
Yeah, I just don't go looking.
Okay.
If they need to get in touch with me, I'll say, leave a voicemail with Bobby.
Yes. You got it. Black Constantine.
The Black Constantine.
I'm there to fight the fight.
Where's the spell book? Like a spell book?
No, I don't do spells, bro. I'll leave that to Amy.
And I want one of them shirts, man. I don't have one of them shirts.
Oh yeah, don't worry. I'm still trying to get one.
Yeah, so people, check us out.
Can't make me pay for it either.
Nice. Submit your story to Strange Darkness Radio. You too can have a Strange Darkness Radio, shirt, and then we make bonus episode shirts and we make regular episode shirts. But leave your story on SpeakPipe. You can always check that out in the show description. Just hit the link. We'll automatically take you to SpeakPipe, and you can leave a message on your phone, on the computer, right then and there. No worries. Or you can call in at 916-741-3032. Or you can email us at strangedarknessradio@gmail.com. We would love to hear your story. You can have Benson voice your story. That would be amazing. If you call the 916 number, you can leave a message in 3-minute increments, and I'll stitch it all together and make it cohesive and coherent. If you want your voice changed, I can do that too. You don't have to give your identity if you do not want. And if you want to come on the show, drop us a line, same way, or email us and we can set something up so you can come on the show and talk to us directly. I think that'll be amazing. All right, that is it for the bonus episode of Strange Darkness Radio. We are out.
We've had a fantastic time on tonight's bonus episode of Strange Darkness Radio, and we appreciate you joining us. If you have your own strange and eerie experiences to share on our show, please reach out to us via email at strangedarknessradio@gmail.com or by calling our hotline at 916-741-3032. We're eagerly awaiting your stories. Please leave a review and subscribe. Join us at the Hotel Paranormal. Until next time.